All right, good evening, everybody. This is Kevin Gilmore again with the National Weather Service New Orleans Baton Rouge office located in Slidell, Louisiana. We're going to get started with another Facebook Live update. We've been doing these pretty much daily. This will be our third one discussing the cold weather and winter weather we have coming up. We do have some changes to discuss, so thanks for tuning in. We'll be kind of going through all of them. I did want to say, too, like what we said yesterday in this Facebook Live, this is a little bit of a longer one because there's a lot going on here. We have a multi-day threat for very dangerous cold temperatures and wind chills. And then we also have, of course, a threat for some winter weather coming up here on Tuesday. Coming up here, it's actually come up shortly now. Seems like we're rolling right along, and we got the cold weather, which is already here now. You probably noticed it is really chilly outside today. So we're going to kind of talk about that coming up, discuss all the latest that we know, and of course, we're going to start things off like same way, same method we always do by looking outside the window. First, I want to show you something pretty neat. This is actually a very blue map, but this is actually a map that's showing you the change of temperatures in the last 24 hours. So your graph, you can see the numbers on the left there. That's going to be reds are warmer than 24 hours ago, and then blue is colder, and that's by how much. And it's blue everywhere because we are all ranging between 15 to 25 degrees colder than this time yesterday. In fact, I was looking at some of the climate statistics here that from yesterday when we had a high in Baton Rouge of 78. We had a high today of 53. That's a 25-degree temperature change. And in the other locations like Macomb, Mississippi also had a 25-degree temperature change from highs yesterday. So no question about it. We were confident about this from the beginning. The Arctic air mass is here, and it is infiltrated all across the southeast United States, setting the stage for when we're going to be seeing some precip coming up to our back door here, likely early Tuesday, and it's going to likely be in the form of winter weather. So some of the temperatures that we're seeing across the area, if we can get the map to update. This is what we're looking at right now at the 7 o'clock hour this evening, generally in the upper 30 or mid to upper 30s, low 40s on the immediate coast. But we got a chilly night ahead. This is going to be the first in a series of very cold nights. So we're going to talk about all that coming up. And of course, we're going to break everything down like we did last time too, talking about the cold air. And then we're going to talk about the winter weather towards the end. So just bear with me. We'll go through it all, and we'll go ahead and jump back over here and get started. And guess what I got to always show for the first slide? You guessed it. Know where you are on a map. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this because I've been saying this on every Facebook Live. But remember, I'm going to show you a series of maps coming up. Make sure you know where you're at. We're going to be talking about our local area of southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. But if you're watching in any of our adjacent areas, that includes Lake Charles to our west, Jackson, Mississippi to our north, and Mobile to our east, be sure to follow them pertaining to the local weather information to those local areas. But again, we're going to be focusing on that southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi area here as we keep going. So first, as promised, I should talk about, let's do a whole broad overview. That's what we've been doing with these Facebook Lives. And we're scrunching this down now. You remember we had a lot more days when we first started. Now we're focusing on Monday through Friday. You see those are your morning lows ranging on the bottom. North is going to be pretty much anywhere north of I-10-12. South is along and south of I-10-12 there. You see with the lows on the bottom. And then your forecast highs each day, the range of that, above that. But again, we got our first hard freeze tonight, tomorrow morning. That's where we're going to be seeing those first round of impacts. So it's going to be wind chills around 10 to 20. If you notice, it's been breezy today. Even windy in some areas. Those winds are not going to back down because we're still getting that cold air plummeting down this area. So when we see these lows in the 20s to 30s tonight, with those winds continuing, we're going to see those dangerous wind chills around 10 to 20 degrees in the morning, Monday morning. So very cold morning. When you get up in the morning tomorrow, Tuesday, that's going to be the impacts from winter weather across a very large majority of the area, and then staying cold Wednesday, Thursday, and then maybe a little bit of a warming trend as we get into Friday and Saturday, but not by much. We're still expecting a freeze for some locations Friday, even early Saturday. So we're going to talk a little bit beyond this timeline graph when we get a little bit further on, and then talk about what we may be seeing beyond Saturday. So we'll talk about that all coming up. So let's break this down like we always do, first starting with temperatures. Just like we did yesterday, showing you the low temperatures. This is tomorrow morning's low temperatures to the left and the forecast minimum wind chills on the right. And we see lows tomorrow morning. It's going to be cold. We're talking about mid to lower 20s, upper 20s for the South Shore. Wind chills are going to be in those teens like I just discussed, and how long is it going to be below freezing on the left, and how long are we going to see those hard freeze values? That's 25 degrees or lower on the right. We see the larger duration of freezing temperatures is going to be primarily the Florida parishes, which is north of I-1012, along and north of I-1012, southwest Mississippi and southeast Mississippi. And then hard freeze for 4 to 8, maybe up to 10 hours for those same areas by the time we wake up early tomorrow. Now, the rest of Monday is actually going to be relatively pleasant. I know some people have been asking about that. Monday's actually going to be a nice day, just chilly. But we will see sunshine in the morning, but clouds will increase, and we'll see more clouds, and precipitation is going to be coming up from the west early Tuesday morning. So these are the low temperatures early Tuesday morning. At the same time, we're expecting the onset of some of that winter precipitation. As I mentioned before, with the Arctic air mass that's here and is in place, when we get precipitation on top of it, that's where we're going to start to see those problems. We got 23 Macomb, 29 New Orleans. So temperatures are going to be in that 20-degree range, from 23 to 29, generally speaking, for all of the area with that precipitation. And that's where we're going to start seeing those problems. But aside from that, wind chills, 9 for Macomb. We're talking about teens for the rest of the area, and that's because those winds are still not going to back down. So a very cold day with that winter precip around the area. It's going to be brutally cold, especially for a large part of this whole area. How many hours below freezing? Yes, it is very likely we will not see areas go above freezing for the northern, I would say the northern third of the area may remain below freezing all day Tuesday, and that's why you see 24 hours of below freezing in that purple color you see, maybe a few hours above freezing for New Orleans, maybe an hour or two for Baton Rouge. Can't count that out completely, that you could be below freezing all day, Baton Rouge, even for Slidell and Gulfport and Pascagoula. So a very cold day on Tuesday. And we're going to keep going into Wednesday now. Now we're going to have snow on the ground for a large part of the area overnight, Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, and through the whole day on Wednesday. We may still have that snow on the ground because we're not going to warm up. You see it right there. High temperatures are forecast into the mid to upper 30s. So maybe an hour or two above freezing, but still that snow is going to take a lot to evaporate and a lot to melt and get out of the area. It's still going to be around, especially in shaded areas. Shaded areas where the sun doesn't hit will remain there all day, and we could still have slick spots on roadways. Wind chills, that could be the one morning with the coldest wind chills is going to be Wednesday morning, especially given the fact that we may have snow on the ground. A lot of people may not realize if you have snow on the ground, that can make the low temperatures even colder and the wind chills even colder as that wind blows off the snow on the surface. So very, very cold day expected starting the day on Wednesday with highs, like I said, in the mid to upper 30s. There's your duration of below freezing on the left and hard freeze duration onto the right. Emphasis is on New Orleans. You got you got 4 hours of 25 degrees or lower expected with 18 hours of below freezing temperatures for the city. Even on Thursday, still not seeing that moderation yet. We're still not seeing that big warm up. We're still seeing temperatures into the teens to lower 20s, maybe 29 for New Orleans. But if you notice, the wind chills are not that much difference from the temperatures, and that's because the winds are going to be backing down a little bit. We're not going to see as much of that high wind. So really, wind chills are not going to be too much of an issue, but we're still going to have that air temperature. That air temperature is still going to be very cold early Thursday. And here's your hours below freezing on the left and hard freeze hours onto the right. Around, generally speaking, 4 to 9 hours for hard freeze conditions from the Atchafalaya Basin for the northern parts of the area. And freeze again for most of the area as we go into the early morning hours or overnight Thursday to early Friday. Speaking of overnight Thursday and early Friday, here's your low temperatures for Friday morning. I wanted to actually include this because I think with the last Facebook Live we didn't show this, but it's still going to be cold on Friday. We're not going to be above freezing for pretty much almost the whole area again on Friday morning. Wind chills, again, not too bad because that high pressure builds into the area and we don't have that high wind or any type of wind issues, but that aside, it's still cold. If you're from here, you're looking at these numbers, this is cold. And then we got kind of going from there, talking about the freezing duration on the left and the hard freeze onto the right. And then I also want to show you Saturday morning. Still, I'm sorry. I mean, if you're not a cold weather fan, I feel bad showing you all these numbers because we're seeing mid to upper 20s for the northern half of the area. Finally getting above freezing for lows into the South Shore, which is some good news there. But still, 29 Baton Rouge, 25 Macomb, that's going to be cold. And beyond from here, beyond from this, I did want to mention too, as we get into Saturday, we're going to be warming up to the upper 50s to lower 60s. Hey, that's awesome. Especially if you like that warmer weather. And if you're tired of the cold, you're going to really enjoy that. And we might see upper 60s, low 70s on Sunday. I know that's a little far out right now, but that's kind of what we do down here. We don't really stay cold very long. This is pretty long, but we definitely have a trend to usually warm up a lot from that. So that's some good news there. And we've been saying this a lot to protect the 4 Ps: people, pets, pipes, and plants. Check on the elderly. Check any other types of vulnerable population. Make sure they're okay. Make sure they're aware that this cold air is coming in and they're prepared. Pets, please, like I said yesterday, they're our best friends. Do not forget them. Ensure they have food and unfrozen water. Please bring them inside if you can. If you can't, make sure they have adequate shelter that'll keep them warm. Pipes, yes, this is a type where you want to insulate your pipes, especially if you have any exposed pipes in your home. Open up sink cabinets too and disconnect hoses. If you have any hoses connected to your faucets on the outside of your house, just disconnect them and then wrap them up as well. And plants, hopefully by now you've probably protected your plants or brought them inside. Just cover them up if they're sensitive. This type of cold will be very damaging to a lot of plants and agriculture as well. And if you have to be going out in this, I know there's a lot of people who have to, please remember to dress in layers, cover that exposed skin, because those wind chills I was showing you is very dangerous. And emphasis onto the right here with the extreme cold, please layer up, gloves, boots, face mask, all those types of things. Cover your mouth, try to put a hat on too. Just cover yourself in this type of wind and this cold weather if you're out in it. And again, we don't want anybody getting hypothermia or being outside too long in this type of extreme cold. Again, it's going to be pretty impactful across the area. All right, so we just got through the temperatures. Now we're going to jump to the winter weather. So what has changed from yesterday, from us doing this briefing yesterday? The areas you see in pink there is now under a winter storm warning. So that is because we're expecting, you see that white dotted line, near and above that line, 4 to 6 inches of snow can be expected on Tuesday. Along and south of that line, 1 to 3 inches of snow and ice possible. And we'll break that down here coming up in a second. But again, the timing, late tomorrow night through Tuesday evening is what we're expecting. Just be aware, I do want to make a special note here that we are looking at this tonight, and we will likely be expanding, or I shouldn't say expanding, but possibly issuing a winter weather advisory for that immediate southeast Louisiana coast. We just have to kind of check that out. We're not sure if we're going to issue it later this evening or maybe overnight tonight. But due to the fact that there could be some impacts as far south as the southeast Louisiana coastline, we may have to be hosting up a winter weather advisory for those areas. That'll include, again, southern Terrebonne, southern Lafourche, southern Jefferson, and southern Plaquemines parishes. That may be a change you could be seeing here coming up in at least the next 12 hours. How much snow? This is the golden question here. How much snow are we expecting? We see, kind of bring your attention to the left here. This is your most likely snow amount, seeing around, generally speaking, on 4 to 5 inches could be some of the more reasonable totals we'll expect for like Baton Rouge, New Roads, Morganza, and Hammond. Even you can get into the portions of St. Tammany. 3 to 4 for Slidell, and then around 2 to 3 inches from New Orleans, and that's impressive. We're going to show you here coming up when's the last time we've seen these snow amounts. And then a little bit less as you get to the coast, but we'll talk about why here in a second. And then to the right is the high-end snow amounts. This is a low to 10% chance of seeing snow totals exceeding these values. And yes, we do see upwards of 7 to 10 inches of snow, maybe higher than that, but that is a 10% chance. So if the forecast is underdoing this a little bit, be aware that there's a chance it could be higher in some locations. And this is what we would define as a pretty major winter weather event, something we're definitely not frequently used to down here, which brings us concern for impacts. And there's all your key messages in the middle. Hazardous travel is going to be likely for all of southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi. Please exercise extreme caution if you have to drive, if you have to travel. But I will tell you, in this type of a situation, there will likely be a lot of closures, a lot of road closures across the area, because we have a lot of bridges down in southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. And those bridges have a tendency to get colder quicker and allows the snow to stick quicker as well, causing impacts. Ice. Yes, there is the chance for some ice, sleet, or freezing rain mix. Generally speaking, that's going to be on the southern part of where the shield of precipitation is going to be, getting close to the coast. We're expecting around less than 1/10 of an inch for most areas, but if you see to the right, there's your high-end ice accumulation. Impacts, we've been saying this all along, has been generally looking like that lower Atchafalaya Basin region. Getting into near New Orleans, you may have a little bit of some ice impacts there. Exercise extreme caution if you have to be traveling, but just be aware any ice down here, any ice can cause problems. So definitely be careful if you have to be out and about on Tuesday. Now the timing, now that we're getting a little bit closer, now we're getting a little bit of a better idea of a time window of when we're going to be seeing this. To the left here is your approximate start time range between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. on Tuesday. So talking a little bit about that, where you're probably going to see late Monday night to early Tuesdays, we're going to see a lot of precipitation off to our west. Okay, we're going to see the snow starting over across like east and southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana first, and then spreading into the west. Now there is a little in question or some doubt about how this precipitation will start. First off, early Tuesday morning. It could be all snow, or it could be maybe a snow, sleet, or freezing rain mix to start. That's still in question, but that's your time range. 3 to 7 a.m. includes Baton Rouge, Morganza, and Houma. And then a little bit later, as we get to again, this is all pre-dawn hours on Tuesday, we'll see that precipitation spreading off towards the east, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Tuesday for New Orleans, Covington, and we get to Biloxi, Pascagoula, and Gulfport. That may start off again as a rain, sleet, or possibly a rain, sleet, snow mix, and then turning into all snow. And then the blue, there's your heaviest winter precipitation is going to be between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Tuesday. And then on the right, it's going to be your approximate end time range, because now that by that point, this is all going to be getting out of here as we get towards around sunset Tuesday, for ending from west to east as this precip and the system pulls off towards the east. By that time, it should be an all snow for all locations, because we're later in the day and it's going to be a lot more colder. All snow will be ending. It won't be a real shutoff, but we'll likely see snow becoming from moderate to light to maybe then some flurries, and then it ends after that. There could be some wiggle room with this time, but again, in an overall sense, this is about the times we're going to be expecting the precipitation, the winter precip, to end across the area. And thereafter, we're not expecting any additional winter weather. However, we will still see impacts from this winter weather lasting overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, because again, like I mentioned before, we're not going to be warming up much on Wednesday, so that snow could still be on the ground for a large part of the area, and won't be melting, which will continue to cause travel issues, even going into possibly as late as early Thursday. So keep that in the back of your mind if you got any type of plans. We could be seeing impacts as late as Thursday. And remember, we showed this yesterday. We're shifting that now from where we are now. We are in the middle. The day before. We're generally the day before now, where we're going to start to see some impacts, or at least beginning creeping in from the west. This is when, if you have plans on Tuesday, you need to adjust them. Have multiple way to receive warnings. We've already got winter storm warnings out. And then this is when you need to start planning for your pets. Make sure you got a place for them. If you got a bed, make sure they have a bed, anything like that. And then we'll get towards during and after as we start doing these lives on the day on Tuesday. So we're moving right along in the timeline, and you need to be having a plan ready to go. And I remember talking about this early on, about some of the more historic snowfall events. Basically ranked in the most recent on top. Really hasn't been a while since we've had snow of any significant measure, especially Macomb, 5 inches back on 2017. Still, it's not, again, like I mentioned before, we really don't see snow a lot down here, and we don't typically see snow upwards of the amounts that are currently forecast. So that's why this is a little bit different, and that's why we want people to be as prepared as possible. So we'll get through it and everything. That's kind of just what we do here. Let's see if we can get back here and kind of discuss a little bit more here, just kind of face to face. Again, that's everything that has changed in the last 24 hours with the latest forecast. Really, again, the snow numbers have been generally the same. There has been a little bit of a wobble, but we don't want people to focus too much on these exact values if it goes up or goes down. It might still do that even this far out, but I will tell you from just forecasting experience and working with these great forecasters here that this has been very much an increasing confidence situation, and has been pretty much a higher than normal confidence of seeing winter weather actually going back the last few days. And the confidence is still there, and it's increasing every single day, and that's why we want people to take this very serious. And I don't want people to focus too much. I know the winter weather is going to be a significant impact across the area. You could say major to extreme impacts. We don't want people to forget, too, that this is going to be very serious with the cold weather we're going to be seeing with the system. But again, I'll say this again because I like to always find, positive, any kind of like positive ray of sunshine here is going to be the fact that we could see some warmer temperatures as we get towards Saturday and Sunday, and we'll get back into the 70s if you're not a cold weather fan. So we'll get there slowly but surely, but we'll pretty much go ahead and see. I got 721 now, so we did another good one here, and we'll try and catch you back. We'll try and do one tomorrow. We'll kind of keep these regular. Just kind of depends, but if not, I always forget to do this. Let me actually go back over here and show you again where to get our information. Here's our webpage, weather.gov/licks or /New Orleans. And we're posting frequently all of our information you can see here. Now, I just showed you that. We're updating this all the time. And again, here's your winter storm warning. If you click on Hammond, if you want your latest forecasts, it takes you straight here and you get your daily highs and lows and expect there's all your hazards that are actually kind of like in a timeline that shows you the time that's in effect for winter storm warnings, your cold weather advisories, extreme cold watches, and then here's a list out of everything you need to know here. And that's clickable. You can move around. You got graphs and say, hey, I want to go up, let's just move over here to Franklinton. I like Franklinton. I visit there every so often. And here's your forecast there. So there's your local forecast. For the latest information, be sure to check out our website. We'll be posting all the latest information there. But like I said, I want to end it there. We don't want to go too long, and we'll try and catch you back here again at some point during the day tomorrow, either tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, and we'll be able to provide you with the latest information. Other than that, we hope you all stay warm, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.